Hello everyone. I think everything is working. I am definitely running late, so I'm sure I'm forgetting lots of stuff I need. We'll figure that out as we go along. So tonight I'm going to be working in watercolor with colored pencil on top, and I'm going to be using the Aqua Bronze Copper. So this is a metallic paint that is super pretty, and we've got audio, right? Yeah, audio is good. So this is a really metallic paint, and for this hummingbird, it's actually the perfect color for his neck. But it would look weird if that's the only place I put it. So I'm actually going to line parts of him, go for more of a stylized look. I'll pull some of those lines of copper on the edge of his body and a little bit on his head and more on the branch so that it kind of balances out. We've also got tonight, which you can't really see. Let me see if I can. It'll be upside down, but we have, wait, nope, I can't easily get it. Let's see, let's not mess with that camera. Oh, there's my water. Let's show you with this camera then. We've got French fry over here off to the side. There he is, right there, eating his millet. So I will introduce you guys to him later on. And normally he won't be here during the live streams because most of the mediums I work in wouldn't be safe for him to be around while the paint is still wet. When it's dry, it's no problem. But when most of the stuff is wet or if I'm spraying things, that's not super safe. But tonight, watercolor and colored pencil, totally safe for him. If I were using OMS, odorless mineral spirits, with my watercolor, that would not be safe. I wouldn't want him in the room for that. Again, once it's dry, it's no big deal. Like, there's no risk. But anyway, once we're done tonight, I will let the boys out, and because he's still very flighty. He's a baby. He's new. He's getting used to everything. He's actually never been in this room, but this bird is not afraid of anything either. He's definitely was well raised, but I'll let the boys out just for his own safety, and then I'll bring him out after we finish the painting, and I'll show you then. Now, normally when I do something like this is, if you're within the US and you would like to bid on this, you can. The link is in the video description if you want to own this hummingbird. It will come in a really pretty black matte, and normally at the end I show you how to matte the work. I'm not going to do that today because French fry is eating millet and making a mess. There's no way I wouldn't end up with millet inside the bag, because the way millet is, like, the static of it is bad, and you combine that with the static of the bag I put this in, oh, I would be sending millet to somebody. So I'm not going to show you tonight how to matte it, but I normally do. We have already from Kelsey. Thank you so much. She said, for the boys. Would you like, oh, they already know. They're like, yes, we would. We would like a super chat. You don't even have to ask. Okay, I probably should move my water away from little Mr. Millet Bird over there. Thank you so much, Kelsey. The boys thank you too. Oh, hold on, I have to break this. Hold on. Gibson, if you take that out of my hand. Hey, stop that. Gibson being a bit pushy there. He knows he wasn't being handed it, but he started reaching for it. He's been getting bad again with not obeying. We're going to have to do some practicing. Go lay down. 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 Have you ever seen, I always watch body cam footages, and have you ever seen where a cop will go to arrest somebody and you can tell this person has never been told no in their life? And so when the cop is like, okay, you won't listen to me, I'm going to have to place you under arrest, they just start randomly screaming. That's what Gibson does. When Gibson is finally told, no, you have to do what I tell you to, and you go to like grab his collar, he'll just start screaming. So we had that episode. I told you guys about it last week. But that's why I have to be more strict with him, because he's just like, you want, what's the rage against the machine? I won't do what you, F you, I won't do what you tell me. Yeah, that is Gibson. So anyway, kind of funny. Okay, so moving on, let's go ahead and get started on this. Now this, I am working on 300 pound. I don't remember if this one was Fabriano Artistico. I think this one is Fabriano Artistico Extra White Hot Press 300-pound watercolor paper. I no longer buy Fabriano Artistico. They changed the formula. I don't like it for watercolor. I definitely don't like it for colored pencil. Can you use it? Yeah, but I think it's overpriced for the quality that you currently get. It's just, I'm not a huge fan. So, and if you've gone out and bought it because you saw older videos of mine where I used to love it, don't feel like you're out anything. It's just, I won't buy it again. I think there are better options. I personally, my go-to now is Arches, but I have a lot of Fabriano left, and so that's why I'm still using that. Now the problem with the 300 pound, often you will trace or use a light box to get your image cleanly onto the paper. That does not work with 300 pound watercolor paper because it is so thick. Bonus, it's not going to warp. Downside, it is you can't see through it to trace over your pattern. So I use tracing and transfer paper. You just draw it on there, stick it on there, and then I use transfer paper to transfer it over. It is darker, like a graphite black. The bad side with that is, unlike like if I used a water-soluble graphite pencil, or if I just used a graphite pencil, you're not going to see. I can use a lighter hand and you really don't see the lines. I feel like I can certainly see these lines a bit more here. And also the white balance is off. Let me see if I can fix that really quick. I say really quick. We know when I fix cameras, it's never quick. I think it's this one. White balance. It just looks weirdly blue. Now it looks too yellow. Let's move you. Oh, too much, too far. That looks better. Okay, we'll see. We may have to adjust that as the lighting changes in here when it gets darker outside, but that is good for now. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is just get a light wash over the background. And the reason that I want to do the background first is I go through this pretty quick on a live stream. If I'm a little messy, gets into the bird, no big deal. I haven't painted the bird yet. I can cover it up. And I'm just going to go with a soft sage green. Now, if you look at the reference photo, link is in the video description. You can go and download that for free. This reference photo, the background is just a soft, like a sage green. I like the sage green. I'm probably going to put a little teal in mine because it's me. But I don't want a solid color. I just want a kind of hint of some green in there. So let's go ahead. I've got distilled water, and the reason that I use distilled water is there is a lot of crap in our city water, from chlorine, chloramine, everything, all the chemicals. And so even if you're using archival products, if you're fixing my chair, if you're using the city water, like tap water in your work, there's a very good chance that over the years it will discolor or cause issues with your artwork. So we're spending all this money on archival supplies, spend an extra buck, get a gallon of distilled water, and I just use these little teeny like mason jars, little jelly type jars, and I keep one for clean water where I'm mixing, and then I have one that is my rinse the brushes. You can see it's kind of tinted pink from previous use. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to be doing is using, this one is the Creative Mark Mimic brush. This is a 1/2 inch filbert, so you've got the rounded tip. And I'm just going to use this to go through the edges and or around the bird for the background and get that. Actually, let me get my color mixed first though. So I've already got some turquoise or teal colors in here, so I'll use that. But I want to pull out kind of a soft green so that it's ready to go. And I'm not sure which green this is. It's not, like, nothing is marked on here, so I just want that. Let's pull a little bit of red to mute it. So when you have colors that are a little too bright, you look at it and you, like, I want this sort of soft sage, avocado-ish sort of, I don't know, I'm throwing words out there, green. Mix the color with its complementary color. So in this case, I started with green, and it is green, like that's too green. So all I need to do is take a teeny bit of red, because that's its complementary color, opposite on the color wheel, add that, and I just neutralized and got a really pretty soft color. Now that color will be great. I'm just going to have to mix it with a lot of water, actually just throw some in there now, to make it more translucent. Now, let's get some paper towel over here ready to go. I'm going to start by just getting my background wet. And there is going to be a little color on this from the green that I just added. That's fine. Actually makes it a little easier so we can see. I'm definitely going to have to fix the exposure. It looks really dark on the camera, doesn't it? It's actually a really pretty green. That's just the green that was in my brush. And I want to get all of that background wet. I don't want so much that it's going to run. Now, watercolor works better if you're working flat. You can see mine's, it pours or puddles and it's building up on the branch. If I were working flat, that would not be an issue at all. But because of my back and my neck, working flat is not something I do very often. And we're just going to get all of that wet before we start filling in the color. Oops, one little spot I almost missed. That would have looked really weird and blotchy. And what this is going to do by getting it wet, it's going to look, when I place the colors over it, it's going to be super, super soft. So now I can go ahead and start adding more of the green, and it's just going to fade out really soft. I actually like that blotchy look that I know watercolor artists don't love, but as a professional watercolor artist, I just think it's pretty. So I am okay with it being blotchy. got to go kind of quick because it's starting to dry a little bit in a couple of spots. You can also use masking fluid. See, I'm going over the bird a little. That's fine. I would rather go over a little bit, the bird a little bit with the background than not enough. You can use masking fluid, and then you can be really sloppy and really messy. Masking fluid, though, is it's just a lot of work to use. And I don't want to put the effort in all honesty. So I'm going to re-wet some of my previous teal color that I had used. I think this is phthalo green. What other colors do I have in there? There's a little bit of gold, so it'll probably get some of the mixture from the gold I used in a project from last week. The goldfish, if you're over on Patreon, you've seen that with the gold paint. That gold definitely kind of goes everywhere. This is much brighter. Actually, I think it looks better on camera, but it's much brighter in person than what you're seeing. I'll have to fix the camera. Making sure all that white is filled in. Okay, and I'm just going to blend that out just a bit. I'm going to leave mine really soft. You'll see in just a moment when I fix the exposure how much lighter mine is. Oh, that's pretty. I'm liking that. Okay, and I'm going to dry it really quick before I fix the camera. That looks pretty on camera, just not accurate. I want to make sure in case someone bids that it is very accurate so you know what you're getting, or as close as possible. Let's see if I can fix, I don't know, it's weird that the exposure is that dark. Usually automatic exposure overdoes it. It is not. Let's go ahead and do that by hand then. Nope, I'm actually going the opposite of what this looks like. Okay, let's leave it on automatic and try maybe the white, or maybe saturation? No, that shouldn't be it. It just looks too dark. Mine is definitely more green. So the color, that is more accurate there. Huh. See, it's like going from one extreme to another. I just want it to be, actually, that's pretty close. Okay, I'm going to leave it like that for now. I'm sure I'm going to have to change it later as the lighting changes, but that's pretty close to what that looks like. Yeah, it's a little bit on the yellow side, like it's making my hand really yellow, but whatever. Okay, I think that's pretty close. Okay, so I'm going to start with his little head, and we've got that shimmery look. So hummingbirds, the reason I wanted to do a hummingbird is I currently have a tiny little parrot that's the size of a hummingbird. So, you know, it's kind of like painting nuggets the other parallel, French fry. So here we've got that shimmery look if you look at the photo on the head. And again, I know some of you are going to complain, why isn't the photo on the the screen? Get rid of the dogs on the screen. Well, the boys make me money on Super Chats. I'm not saying that too loud because Gibson is sitting there waiting for another. But also you can download it. If you are serious about following along with me, you need to have this photo way bigger than anything I'm going to put on screen. So, I mean, I guess I could take up like half the screen. But we're not doing that. So download it yourself and put it wherever you want on screen. Zoom in so you can really see details if you're getting into more realism. So definitely something you want to do there. And if we look at the shimmery head, so back to where I was going with that, if we look at the shimmery head, the way that you get something to look shimmery, high contrast. So that could be something metallic and you just want it to look really shiny. It could be glass, anything. It's really, really high contrast. So you're white up against black. I mean, high contrast. So here we've got this beautiful teal. I'm going to do the entire head with this gorgeous teal color, or it's really a phthalo green. And then I'm going, which is like a bluish green, I'm going to take black around the edges for the detailing everywhere else. So that is the plan. I will paint this in. I can use, actually I probably use this for most of this. This is a number 6 round. Again, the Creative Mark Mimic brush. I love these, but this one is pretty much going to be able to do all of this for me. Although I just noticed I'm missing a spot right along his face where the beak goes. I'm going to put that in now and just kind of reactivate the paint around it so it blends out. I'll have to dry this again. I just want to make sure it's soft. I didn't just fill in the one spot where it was missing, because if I would have, it would have been a weird, harsher line than what I wanted. That will give me a better look. Let me dry this now. Okay. So now it's not as smooth as it was, but it's like it's blotchy enough it looks more intentional. If I had just put it here and it was just blotchy there, it looks like a mistake. You get it blotchy all over, it looks like you did it on purpose. I didn't, but I mean, you guys know that, but the average viewer would have no idea. Okay, so let's get started with that phthalo green. And I believe that's this color here. Yep, I already had it out, so. Just going to thin that with some water, and these are the Schmincke watercolors. And I'm just going to paint his entire little head with this, except where the bronze is going to go, or the copper. Now see, because I'm working upright, see how it's collecting here? All I need to do is just let it soak back up into my brush and then dab it on my paper towel. I could also have a little paper towel piece to soak some of that excess up too. And we're just gonna fill his little floofy head. Oh, we've got, okay, hold on one second. Let me fill this in. And we'll get the boys taken care of with your donations. So this whole area ends up being really dark. And I'm gonna dry that. We'll rinse that brush. Okay, so we have two. We have the first, we'll do these a couple minutes apart, or a few seconds, from Kathy Davis, said, let's not let Gibson and Wade down since they are being such good boys. Is it true? Look at Gibson sitting there, you can't, down cow. What a bad cow. So bad. Living up to his namesake. So I don't know, Kathy said you were being good boys, and then you go and do that. You can't tell though where they're sitting, they're looking straight at me. You want a super chat? Okay, now you can come. Thank you, Kathy. So we got the first there. Back up. We'll have to break these in half because they're really big. Here, Gibson. Part of that was broken off. There. You were shorted a piece. Thank you, Kathy. Lay down. Lay down. If you lay down, you get another, but you have to lay down and follow directions. Cow. The baddest of cows. Lay down. Lay down. Now, the reason that when we have 2 super chats in a row, that I don't just give them 2 treats in a row, like right away, is they stop laying down when I tell them to. They start thinking, we got 2 last time, we'll get 2 this time. So the next is from Rob Youngs, who said, buying Wade and Gibson a week of treats. Yes, you did. They're looking at me again. You ready? Want a super chat? Okay, thank you so much, Rob. We're going through a break. Come on, break. In half easy. There we go. This time they broke even. Thank you, guys. Why is your head wet, Wade? That is a wet cow. I'm guessing that was from Gibson. Okay, lay down. Thanks again, Kathy and Rob. Lay down. Bad cow. Don't give me sad puppy eyes. Cow. Cow. Lay down. Maybe. Okay, fine. It's super bright in that corner now. I got plant lights back there. They're so pretty. I got the Soltech ones. They went on, had a huge sale. I've been waiting for like a year for one of these sales. But that's why it's all bright back there now. Okay. Thank you again. Okay, so we've got his little head in. Where the copper is going, I am going to paint just a little bit of orange to brighten that up before I put the copper over it. We're just going to grab one of these oranges. I don't really care which one because it's going to get covered completely. I just want to make sure that it's really bold because I'm honestly not sure how bold that copper color is, the aqua bronze. It looks like it's one of the more opaque ones, which is what I'm hoping for. But I want to make sure that I've got a really strong, like bold color under it, just in case. If it doesn't need it, this isn't going to hurt, but if it was kind of muted, this will solve the problem. Okay. And we've got, again, we've got grays and then the phthalo green off to the side here on a few of these feathers. So we'll just get a little bit of washing of that over it. And then we've got the gray, so we'll reach over. Oof. I'm just pulling from a previous mixture, and I've got to thin that with a lot of water though, because I want gray, not black for this. No computer, you always wants to restart. It's an older Windows computer and it is just nonstop. We've got an update for you. I just updated it. I do not want your update. Stop. We've got some shadows in there. We're just going to get the hint of these. Now, I would rather be a little bit too dark than too light because I know I'm going to go over this with colored pencil to pull some of those brighter feathers out. And then I'm just going to get this wet and let that softly blend in here. And this is going to look really sloppy at this stage. Totally fine. I don't think French Fry has stopped eating his millet since he got in here. Is it tasty? So we've got the, again, with the really thinned out black here. And then we're going to go much darker so I have way less water right in through here. Now I want to sup up some of that water just so it doesn't run right there. And we've got a highlight. Just take a little bit of blue. For the highlight, I'm going to do that first, and then I can put the black around it. It looks like there's almost a little bit of blue on the tip of the beak too, so we'll do that and let it fade. We go into, it looks like it's some of the reflection almost of the coppery beak, so I'm going to pull some red. I'm going to pull, or orange and magenta. This will end up blending into some black. It's going to be really red right now. I'm going to rinse that and then switch back to my black, but dab a lot of it off so it's more gray. Oh, dabbed a little too much off. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill in the black of the eye. Eye over there stands out too. Kind of a odd looking place with that eye. Now with the same black, I can sit and start in with some of these little feathers. I'm just barely touching. If you like detail, I really, really like watercolor. You can just get thinner lines than any other medium. I don't think I can get this thin. I mean, I can get thin with acrylic, but watercolor, man, it gets so tight, like these tiny, tiny little lines if you want them to. And you can do so much with one brush. Like this one, I don't need a liner brush for this. This brush will get me thin enough. It is so enjoyable if you like tiny detail. Most of this gets really dark. So making little lines, but they're groups of lines. Now, when you do feathers, you don't want to just put random lines everywhere. It's not going to look like feathers. They clump and cluster together. And then I'll adjust some of this with my colored pencil later too. I want to look at my reference photo and pay attention to what direction the feathers are moving in. Now, don't go too dark. It's really important that I leave a lot of that teal color showing through. I want the dark right next to it so that the teal looks shimmery, but it is important for that to be obvious. Fly Me to the Moon. The boys are, I think, they would have just turned 6 years old in April and May. Some of the highlights that'll go on the feathers will definitely be with the colored pencil, so I don't need to worry about a bunch of that yet. And this is like anything else, you're going to layer until it looks good. One of the biggest problems people have with art is, well, one, they focus too much on color, thinking the color is what fixes things, when really it's your values, how light your lights are, how dark your darks are. But in addition to that, it's, where was I going with that? I totally lost my train of thought. So lights light enough, darks dark enough, and it'll come to me eventually. Totally gone. That was a really bad one. It really did just leave me. Oh, that's where it was. I remembered it. The reason, one of the biggest problems that a lot of people have with their work is they try to do it as a paint by number. Paint by number doesn't look very good. I mean, I guess it does if you're doing an actual paint by number. This is not a put the right color in the right place. I know of artists that is their attitude, like that are, well, they consider them, like, I guess they would be professional artists, but I've heard a lot of them do that. Oh, I just put the right color in the right place. Yeah, but your work, like the hair, everything looks like plastic. You never get that softness. Actually, I'm going to hold off on the black on these feathers because I don't want that when I go over it with the aqua bronze. I think it'll be faster if I just paint that in and then put black on top of it. So I'm going to hold off on that. So I'm just going to keep layering this. A little bit darker in here. That darkness carries through to that side. And then we've got dark right on the outer edge here. I would rather on this section to go too light than too dark because I can make it darker easily with the colored pencils. So I'm going to hold off there and I'm going to come down here and start. Yeah, I hear you. Are you talking? Oh, big stretch. If you don't say big stretch when your animal stretches, you are a sociopath. So I'm just going to do a bunch of the little feathers, but you still want to watch how they're grouped together in here. They're not just lines. We don't want this to look like confetti. I don't need it to look exactly like the reference photo, but I want it going in the same direction, and I want these little feathers grouped together. See how I've got like little clump, little circle kind of shapes in there. Oh, we've got from Kirsten, I got it wrong again. Says for all the good art doggos. Oh, wrong, that's me. That's not, I mean, there's a prettier view. Oh, you know, huh? Do you want a super chat from Kirsten? Thank you so much. Oh, getting a little pushy there, sir. Back up, back up, back up. Stay. They did what I told them to, and that impresses me. It doesn't take much to make me really happy. Huh, just good boys. That's it, all gone. Go lay down. Say thank you, Kirsten. Lay down, 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 down. Today. And French fries look at him like, ooh, what are those? You haven't seen those puppies, huh? Lay down. Wait. Baddest of cows. Fine, I guess I'll do it. And we have another from Alyssa. Thank you so much, Alyssa. Oh, you guys are on a roll. You want another super chat? So we do. Thank you so much. Oh, you guys are getting spoiled tonight. Not you. We hear you peeping. Good boys. Are you going to try and get on that swing I just put in there? You haven't sat on that one yet. He's eyeing it. I wish I could have cameras on all of them. I'll switch when the boys get moved out and put the camera on him. Go lay down. Down. Gibson. Down. Wade. Down. Gibson. Down. He's like, but maybe I just won't and you'll be okay with it. Rotten hounds. Thank you again so much. Okay. Back to the hummingbird. Peep. I hear you. I'm not just randomly saying peep. I'm responding to French Fry who's playing with the swing. Oh my God, he's hanging off it like the cutest baby you've ever seen. I'm just going to narrate for you what he's doing because it's adorable. I keep doing that to Matt when he's at work. Now French Fry's doing this. Now he's doing that. So we've got the same thing. We want to watch so that we're creating these little clumps. It's not just random lines. He's hanging upside down by the top of his swing. He is having fun. This is, yesterday he started really coming around. That was his 4th day here. Today he's gotten into, I'm going to play with everything. I'm going to explore everything. Now he's hanging by 1 foot. Wow. Are you stuck? You can't reach, huh? Do you need help? He's hanging by 1 foot from the swing and the other one. You know what? No, I'm going to let you figure that out. Did you get it? Oh, you got it. I've been keeping him in this little baby cage for the last few days because he wasn't eating as much as I wanted him to the first couple of days, but I think tomorrow I'll move him back into his big cage. He's definitely eating enough now. To see how I'm just getting those hint of feathers there. Now, if any of these feel too harsh, I can go over those with a white colored pencil and soften them down. It won't cover it completely, but it will tone it down if this ends up being more harsh than I want it to. We've got a little bit of split on the feathers on the little poofy chest there. I'm not going to be quite as defined on these feathers as I move into the chest. They're actually a lot bigger too. Remember, the harder you push, the thicker your line is going to be. And all of this is the same black. It's just a matter of how much water I added into it to thin it down. They fan out another direction here. Another huge mistake I see people make is they make a few brush strokes and think, wow, these look like feathers. It looks great. I'll just keep doing the same brush stroke over and over again. And they end up with everything at the exact same angle. Well, now that doesn't look realistic. It doesn't matter how much detail you get. That is not going to look very good. It's a little too dark there. Watch how they keep changing direction. This part of the tail comes up a bit higher. We're going to fill that in. So I've got a lot less water here. A lot less water right here. I pulled that dark down too far, but that's okay. I can fix that with the colored pencil. And that, so I've got a little bit more brown and more water in as I define these. So it looks like we've got, whoops, looks like I threw my paintbrush on the floor. We've got some of the flight feathers. Wait, are those the flight? Looks like the flight are kind of under his tail a little bit there. So I've got some black and brown mixed together. And I'm going to define this, put a few straight lines. I'll probably fix that up a bit with the colored pencil as well. Now, wing is going behind. Okay, and then we've got a little bit more shading in here. And I'm going to add some more water so that this is more transparent, or a lighter gray, really is what I'm going for. Let's get some of these little feathers. I am barely letting the tip of these bristles touch that paper. I just want to get the hint of those feathers. I don't need to put in, that is too dark. Let's actually add some water and lift some of that. Like I said, I can tone a lot of it down with a colored pencil, but we can also tone it down by just lifting it with a bit of water and adding more water to my mixture so I don't do that again. Oh, we've already got a bid for this guy. Aw, you're gonna get a home, buddy. Okay, now we've got a lot of the darker shadows in here. I'm just lightly going over some of this, just kind of washing that over. I don't want to keep reworking the brush too many times because I don't want to smudge the lines. You can still see my lines underneath it. I'm doing more of a wash or a glaze over it. Same thing, pulling this looser gray, just letting it softly fade into the background so it's not so harsh. Soften that up. I'm going to go lightly over this too. Okay, I'm going to finish most of the face with the pencils. Let's go ahead and put the aqua bronze in before I do the black detailing right under the neck. So I'm going to bring this over here because I actually don't want the powder that close to, just because I don't want it to actually breathe any of the dust in. I'm going to bring this over here, but this one, which one do I want to do this in? You know what I would rather find? Let me see if I've got a water bottle cap I can do this in. That would be easier. First, I need a drink of water. Speaking of water. Okay, let me see if I've got any bottle caps floating around. Otherwise, I can go steal one from the other room. I need to start saving those. Every once in a while, Matt comes home with a water bottle, and I need to make a point, instead of throwing out the caps, to save them. I will be right back. Or, wait, do I have one in here? I might have one. Oh, I do. We're in luck. I can just use this one. I like these when I use powder blenders, touch-up texture, titanium white mixture. I always like these water bottle caps for that. So I'm going to do the same thing here. So we're just going to take a bit of the copper, and I'm going to stick just a bit of that over here. Shouldn't need very much. I think that's actually probably way more than I need. And I'm going to use a different brush though, because this is going to really get that shimmery powder everywhere. Found that out the hard way. None of these you'd guess would work. Oh, you will work. Come here. No, not you. You. This is the one I want. So this brush is actually the one that comes with, if you get the, oh, sorry, did I scare you with the drawer? Is that new? If you get the Faber-Castell Graphite Aquarels, they come with this little just round brush. I love this thing. Okay, so now I'm going to put some water in this. And just stir those together. The more water you add, the more translucent this will be. Less water, obviously thicker. Let's see, do I want it? That should be enough. Ooh, that is bold. That is so pretty. I think I like the copper, or was this the copper bronze one, aqua bronze, more than I like the gold ones. It's so bold. And so it looks flat here, but when you see how it's shimmery, it's super metallic. So pretty. Okay, and I'm okay with some of that. I'm glad I put the orange base on there now. Oh, I forgot to do the branch, so let's do that really quick before I get too far. Let's pull some browns. Oh, and his feet. Totally forgot that. I'm not going to do a bunch of detailing with the watercolor. I'll do that with the colored pencil. Actually, just go right over the feet with that. So I'm going to put black over that. Actually, I'm not going to do the feet yet. I don't want that to spread in. I'll leave that to dry first. Do a little bit of shading. Nothing crazy. Dry that, and then I can do his feet. Do a little bit more here. Good enough. Was that noisy? Okay, let's do his little toes. And we'll get some highlights with a pencil. We'll let them kind of fade up into the feathers in there. Okay, and let me rinse that. I'm going to do some more with the bronze. And there we go. Definitely want to get a lot of this on the branch, because if I just leave that there, it just lacks balance to me. I'm not outlining everything because I don't want them to look outlined. I just want a little bit more balance to where that shimmer is. You can see a little bit there. I'm going to pull a little teeny bit up here by his eye just to soften that up. Okay. Now, I think I'm going to do black with the watercolor for the detailing on the feathers on the neck. Let me dry this again though. Okay. And back to my Mimic brush, the number 6 round. And this black I want to be pretty thick, so I don't want nearly as much water as I had before. We're going to start forming these little shadows. Too much water, more watercolor. And And these follow that almost fish scale type look, like they're really defined. Now, you may do this, I've seen students do that, where they find something like this that has that fish scale look, and then they think, well, this is just how you draw feathers, and they start doing this over, like they just do that all the time. That is not the case. That is usually not the case where it's as defined as what we've got here. There's not like one way to do anything. You want to look at your reference photo, and that seems obvious, except I was in an art group, and there's somebody who is a super beginner, and they're doing, or at least based on her skill level, super beginner skill level, we'll say. And she had this really bizarre naked mermaid thing, like, it was bizarre. But it had a snake that was supposed to be coming out of the top of her head, and the snake's head was open. And the entire painting was quite a mess. But what got me was that her hang up was the snake. She wanted to know, she's like, can somebody tell me how to draw a snake's mouth? Because she felt that was the problem. And it's like, it's not like there's always going to be one way. This is how you draw a snake mouth. This is how you draw a cat. Where, like, that's a very kind of, we'll say, childish way to view things. You find a reference photo and draw what you see on that photo. There's not one way to draw, this is how you draw snake mouths. This is how, and I think that hang up hits a lot of beginner artists. They think if I knew how to draw a snake mouth, this would look good. It's not about drawing a snake mouth, a cat, a bicycle. It's about finding a photo and learning to copy what you see in that photo. That seems to be such a problem for people, where they're so hung up on, I just need to know how to draw a cat. I need to, which is a weird one. I've been asked that a lot. Can you tell me how to draw a cat? What? Like, imagine trying to answer that question. Find a reference photo. It's not about learning, look, I did feathers once and now I know how to draw feathers. No, you knew how to draw those feathers. Get a reference photo and copy what you see. And that's usually the problem when somebody does that. How do you draw a cat? How do you draw a snake mouth? How do you draw whatever? They think that there's a trick or like a mouth formula, and they're not using reference photos at all. Get that photo. It's all about copying what you see, whether it be, you could have a live model or you could have a reference photo. Either way, you need something to look at. It's not a matter of, this is the formula. Unless you're drawing cartoons, I guess. Okay, now we can define the darks in here a bit more. And see, I'm going to focus in the corners. I'm going to do a lot of that. I can go through faster with my pencils. Actually, I think most of this I can move on with the pencils. I do want to do a little bit more shading on the body. I'm going to wash this. Get some more black and more water mixed together. And I'm going to throw a shadow right in here, a little bit in here. I'm going to rinse this and then go over that with some water just to soften those edges up a bit. Don't overbrush this. If I do too many brush strokes, I lose any details I previously did, although I'm going to go over that with colored pencils for some of it. But okay, let me dry this, and then we will switch over to pencils. Hold on, what is Matt texting me? Random photo of sushi. Sideways. Butt photography, I guess? I don't know. I have no idea why that was sent. Okay, let's get these cleaned up. Now, anytime that I'm doing a combination of watercolor and colored pencil, I want to make sure that I'm completely done with the watercolor before I start with the colored pencil, because you don't want to work your way back and forth between the two. Some mediums, like when I do pan pastels, I can go back and forth where I'm adding colored pencil, then more pan pastel, then more colored pencil. You can go back and forth. With colored pencil and watercolor, the colored pencil is a wax base, so watercolor is not going to stick well on top. I'm going to actually, don't mind me, I don't know if you can see me down here. I'm sitting on the floor. I'm going to pick out some colors from here and bring them up there. Let's see. Grabbing some polychromos. And where is my black? And let me see if I've got some brighter. Just looking for a couple more colors over here. I thought I'd save time by not dragging everything over there. No, I am just spending more time sitting on the floor. This is why I don't pick up colors before. Where is my purple? Oh. No, that is Nightshade. I appear to have lost purple. Nope, that is also a Nightshade. I guess Deep Rose will work. The reason for that is I want more of a magenta type color to do some of the shading on the copper. I don't want to just jump straight to black for everything. Okay, let's see if these kids, let's see if I can get my butt off the floor. Oh, too old for that. Okay, and I need a pencil sharpener. Oh, we've got, Tessa says, time for a break. Do you boys want a super chat? I think that's a yes. Thank you so much, Tessa. Does this sound good? Gibson, you're getting pushy. Back up, back, off, off. Good boy. Yeah, Gibson's definitely been pushy lately. He got really good, and then he goes back to, meh, I can be pushy and just start taking things out of your hand before you give them to me. That's very good. Thank you, Tessa. Okay, lay down. That's enough. Down. Wait, go lay down. We're not going to lick the floor. Go lay down. 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 Slowest race dogs ever. Okay. So I've got some colors in here to pull to make them a little bit more bold. This color actually looks like it'll be pretty good for, oh, this sharpener is not great. Oh, I guess it's okay. This one is my phthalo green. And, oh, I found another sharpener that was on the floor. Got sharpeners all over the place over here. So I'm just going to make this green a little bit more bold. A couple of spots. And let me sharpen the white and the black. We definitely are going to be using those. It really is not going to take much to finish this up. We've got a highlight on the outer edge of the eye here. There we go. And then I'm going to take black and really define right in here. I'm using the polychromos because that's going to give me my sharpest point. Do a few more little feathers in here. I have to be careful not to cover too much of the turquoise. It is getting really hot in here. Hold on. I'm just looking at my photo and just adding more shadows where I want it to be a bit darker. I've got a lot more black right in here. Actually, one color I'm missing is kind of a coppery color. Actually, no, that won't work. That'll work. This one, what is this, terracotta? Yeah, that'll work. This is polychromos terracotta. Pull a little bit more of that in here and under the beak. I'm also going to use some caput mortuum under the beak. And colored pencils, if you've used colored pencils over Inktense, you know, they don't stick super well. I mean, it kind of works, but not amazingly well. I like the Inktense pencils over Inktense. But watercolor, oh my gosh, colored pencils stick so nicely. And it just, you can clean and sharpen stuff up so easily. So if you are like me and you are not like the most proficient watercolor artist, because I actually don't normally use watercolor, I can still make pretty things, but that's not like my main medium. This can make such a difference in sharpening things up. So like if you're not super confident in your watercolor skills, don't feel like you can't use watercolor. Just plan on fixing stuff up with your colored pencils. That's what I do. And it makes the whole process so much more enjoyable for me. Now I want to make some of these really defined. Right in these corners, these deeper shadows. Oh, this sticks to the aqua bronze really well. Wasn't sure on that. I couldn't remember if I had done much pencil on top of aqua bronze before. I've only used it, I think this might be my fourth time. I've not used it a lot. It's just such a pretty look. If you're over on Patreon, which by the way, good time for a plug. If you're not a member at Patreon, for as little as $6 a month, you get access to over 400 of my longer, more detailed lessons where we go much more advanced on some of these projects. Some are very simple, like more for beginners, and some are much more advanced. But for as little as $6 a month, you get access instantly to over 400 of those lessons. I've been uploading lessons since 2014, so there are a lot over there. Normally, I do about 4 videos a month. So yeah, lots and lots, hundreds of videos. But anyway, if you watched the goldfish one, I used the gold aqua bronze. I think I used the pale gold. I like the rich gold better than the pale gold, but pale gold is what I'm pretty sure I used on that one. And that one, the pencils, I was able to go over it too. Like it just, that was a really fun project. I just don't think I did this much detail over it. No, I guess I did because I did some of the white I went over. I just don't have a memory apparently. But see, it looks even more shimmery because we're getting those dark black, that contrast in there. I want a blue pencil too. Oh wait, I've got turquoise. Yeah, you'll work. I want a little bit more on the reflection on the eye there. Oh, it's not even zoomed in very well. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit more for you. There you go. Now, if you look at the reference photo, we've got a lot of little individual lines on these feathers. each feather has the loop and then a bunch of little lines. I am not doing that. This is too small. If I were working on a big project, let's say a 16 by 20 inch, then I'm going to put that level of detail. But something this small, all I'm going to do is make a muddy mess, and the bronze isn't going to stand out as much. What I want to focus on rather than detail are my lighting, my values. My light's light enough, my dark's dark enough, not the little individual detail. Too much detail can actually make it look less realistic and just muddy it up when it's something this small. This is a 5 by 7, so we're not very big, and that could be an absolute nightmare. Some of this gets a little darker if I try to put all that detail in there. If I want a lot of detail, I want to work larger in general. The bigger I go, the more detail I can fit without it looking weird. So we've got some of these feathers are going to be a little bit more with this is the phthalo green. A little bit over here, not too crazy. See how well that sticks? And then we'll get a few of the little lines defining what we already had. I'm not inventing new feathers. This is just defining a few of the lines we previously did a bit more. I'm working with what's there, not fighting against it. So like I see a little dark area there, I'm going to use that to be my edge instead of trying to invent a new edge. That's something that I often see people do a lot too, is fighting against something. So like if I've got, like here, I've got this dark line. Define that. Don't try to put a new one on top of, like a different one. Work with what you've got. Those tiny little feet, so cute. See, again, I'm working with the dark shadows that are there, not trying to invent new ones. Using the terracotta for that lighter area at the tip here. Let's do another one over here. There we go. I'm going to pull a little bit of this turquoise. And this is actually, yeah, it's turquoise. Now when I'm doing finer detail over watercolor, polychromos are usually my go-to for most things because they sharpen to such a fine point. And typically if I'm putting watercolor or colored pencil over watercolor, that's what I'm doing it for, is to get that finer point. And polychromos are my favorites for sharp detail like that. If I needed something more opaque, then I would switch over to either the Caran d'Ache Luminance or my Derwent drawing pencil, or Derwent drawing or Derwent Lightfast. Okay, let's just get the hint of some detail here. I'm not going crazy. I don't want this super detailed. I'll just get a little bit of shading so it's not so flat. One thing you want to avoid, and I see this a lot, I know because I used to do it a lot, is don't look at the branch and go, okay, shadow all the way across the bottom, highlight all the way across the top. That you instantly make look like a flat branch. The branch is going to have variation in the highlights and the shadows just depending on where the light is hitting. So if you want it to look more realistic, don't overdo that light all the way across the top, dark all the way at the bottom. Few little highlights in there, and then I can also pull highlights, a little bit of lines in here with the highlights with white. And then if I really want a little bit of white on the highlights on the feathers, just a few. Don't do too much though with the whites over the bronze because it makes it look a little bit dull if you overdo it. But I can get a few highlights there. Now he is a cute little guy. I'm going to use, I've got, this is, what is it, Deep Rose. This is the Derwent Lightfast. I'm going do a little bit of shading with this so it's not just flat black, and it actually will make it look more rich. Almost done with this. If you've got any art related questions or animal related, because we'll be going over or talking about French fry in a moment here, go ahead and leave those now. I'll be answering those when we're done with this, which we almost are. And as always, I reserve the right, if I come and look at this with fresh eyes later tonight or tomorrow, I reserve the right to do a couple little add-on details to make it even better for whoever wins it. And you can bid on this. The link is in the video description. Few little details in here. When you sit looking at something for an hour straight, though, you sometimes lose sight of things. So I may come back with fresh eyes and go, oh, there's one little area I want to touch up. But as of right now, I think he's about done. I'm pretty happy with this guy. Super cute. And then when I sign it, I always want to hold the mat up to it because a lot of this is going to be chopped up by the mat. And that gives me a better idea of where I want the signature. In this case, I'm just going to sign right up by the branch. There we go. There is a finished little guy. And let me show you in this, although that actually is looking like the color is pretty accurate. Let me pull it over into this one though. Usually it's a little bit better. So you can really see the shimmer on him. See how you can, the neck there especially. Depending on the way the light hits it. Oh, it's so pretty. I love this aqua bronze stuff. This is so cool. So there is the finished hummingbird. And that's actually really accurate on that photo. So cute. Very happy with him. Okay, boys, I'm going to evict you because, yeah, we're going to introduce French fry to everybody. Okay, come on, boys. You're free. Come on. Setting you free. You are free. Go on. I'll be right there with your beds. I need to put at least one bed out in the living room, or yeah, Gibson's already like, my bed's not here. Give me 1 second to move these out. Scooch, scooch, scooch. Cow, you're in the way. Keep going. Trust French fry not to try to delete himself by Greyhound. Come on, scooch. Okay, out you two go. Come on. No, go lay down. You're done. They do not understand why. They're like, well, you're supposed to still have an hour. Okay. No, go lay down. Stop trying to push the door open. Come here, French fry. Let's show everyone your cuteness. And actually, oh, that won't work. Come here. Okay, so I am probably going to spend the next several minutes chasing him around the room when he comes out and decides he can go exploring. Come here, and off he goes. Don't go behind the easel. Don't go behind there, please. That would be very hard to retrieve you from. I would just wait till you came out. Okay. This is baby. Look how tiny he is. How cute is he? This is French fry. He's a parrotlet. He's a turquoise. Hi. Don't fly around. If you fly too much, I have to put you back in the cage. I know, it's exciting though, huh? So much to look at. So there he is. This is who we've been with. He looks so, God, you're so tiny. So cute. Are you, no, don't fly. I see, don't fly behind the kitchen island thing in here because that will not be easy to retrieve you from. Okay, good. The tadpoles aren't in here. He could actually fly into that. So this is who I've been waiting for the last month. He came from Laura's Little Parrot. She's in Fort Worth. She did an amazing, amazing job. She's hard to get a hold of, but I think she's spending all the time with the birds. Like you can't sit up. Well, I guess you could sit there. You gonna sit on the camera arm? Okay. Oh, no, back into the cage. You put yourself away. Don't be mad. You put yourself in there. He's like, I didn't mean to jump into the cage. What? You can come out. Oh, back to the millet. So that's what we're gonna get for now. But man, this little guy, even on the way home, he was preening himself in the car in his carrier like, He gave no craps about anything, not afraid of anything. So today is the 5th day he's been home, so he's really starting to play more and be much, much more active. So he likes the game of, come get me. I'm going to go sit on everything possible and see where my favorite sitting place is. Tuna, my canary, he shares a room with him. Not a cage, they're in separate cages. But Tuna has been so active. Like, we're actually thinking Tuna may start trying to sit on us. He's never tried to like sit on a person because canary. But he spent the first few hours telling off French Fry. French Fry slept through it, but he was not happy about French Fry moving in. But then after that, now he wants to try French Fry's food. I had a bowl of, it's called Bird Street Bistro. So if you have birds, you may be familiar with it. It's like grains and beans and stuff in it. Tuna, actually, I had a bowl of it for French Fry on the desk. Tuna came over today, landed on my desk right in front of me. Normally he'll sit on my computer monitor, but only for a few minutes and never on the desk. Oh, he came down to the desk. He wanted to try some of that food. My husband and I are sitting there like not moving at all because we didn't want to scare him, letting him snack. But as French Fry gets older, depending on how his behavior is, we may have to like play musical birds, who gets to be out of the cage at the different time, because if he ends up being super aggressive, he's playing with toys. I've got to get this camera set up so you can see how adorable this cute bird is. Where can I put a camera on you? I don't know how to make that happen. But yeah, so that has been my last, like, how we spent the weekend. We picked him up on Saturday. It's Wednesday now, and he is adorable. The other birds, Chicken, Nugget, and Sushi, have not yet met him because technically you want to make sure the bird is healthy, you know, stool is normal, everything's been good. But you want to give it, most people give it anywhere from like a month to 3 months of quarantining a bird. If you don't do that, you always risk if that bird is unhealthy. I don't think that's going to be the case here. I mean, obviously, he's in the same room with Tuna. But yeah, so he hasn't met the other birds yet, so we don't know what they think about anything. But yeah, that is the whole French Fry. You'll be seeing a lot more of him. And I know people will ask, well, what about Chicken? Chicken's not my bird, so it's harder for me to work with Chicken because he's Matt's bird. So French Fry, because I'll be the one working with him all the time, it'll be much easier to use him in videos to get him to do different things, because I want to teach him to like react certain ways to, or, you know, teach him stuff. Chicken does come when I call him, so there's that. But yeah, that is French Fry. I think one of the questions in here, Lightly had said, how much bigger will French Fry get? Not much. That's pretty much it. They're about the size of a hummingbird full grown. He'll fill out a little bit. Right now, you know, he's just weaned, so he's still on the thin side. Oh, that was graceful. But no, that's about as big as they get. That's it. That is it with the parrotlet. They're the smallest of all the parrots. They have a big bird personality, though, which is adorable. They're playful. They talk. Super, super playful with their toys, much more so than with like a cockatiel or even a parakeet. Like they're little clowns. Yeah, I know, I see you in there. You're having fun, huh? You like the studio. You don't get to come in here very often, though. Too often I'm painting. So, yep, that is, he's having all kinds of fun now. Yeah, I've got it. Hold on. Let's fix this camera so you can see him. I'll just have to put it back when we're done. Can I get this to work? Oh, that's actually not that hard to do. Let me see. It'll be lopsided, but you guys will get the point. Palette. He's like, I just figured out how to use a swing. Sort of. That is, what are you doing in there? Yeah, okay. So let's go. We've got, are the boys related? They came from the same kennel, but I don't know, like I don't have enough of their pedigree to know if they're related at all. But I mean, most likely somewhere down the line they were, but their mom and dad are not the same. I know that for sure. Patty said, what are your thoughts about doing this on cold press paper? I know you get more detail on hot press, but I like the look of watercolor on cold press. Cold press would work. It wouldn't work. The colored pencil won't look as good. Well, I can't even say it won't look as good. It will look different. It'll be harder to get the fine details on stuff. So, but you can certainly do this on cold press watercolor paper. Sir, you're using the wrong part of the swing. Seriously? What are you doing? Okay. Pharaoh said, I saw a review of these metallic that showed they turned dark and more green over time. Have you experienced that? You know, when did I get them? Like last year sometime. I've not seen it happen yet. Could it? Maybe. I don't know. I know with, you are being loud. I know with the metallic Liquitex, I had contacted Liquitex about that, like what the light fast. They said it's metallics, so you're not really, it's not the same as a normal light fast rating, but as far as they could tell, there was no issue with it fading or anything like that all the time. I'm not sure. Why are you, why? What is your problem? You're just sitting there being noisy. Another bonus with these guys, I know I'm going to talk too much about parrotlets tonight, sorry. They're not that noisy. I mean, he's chirping, but it's not that loud, whereas like the cockatiel, oh, it is loud. When Nugget, my husband's parrotlet, he can be having a little fit in there, making all the noise in the world, you'll sleep right through it. Their voices just don't get that loud. Let's see. Peppernilla said, any fixative that works well over both pencils and watercolor for mixed media like this. There's no reason to put a fixative, like zero benefit in putting a fixative over this. Colored pencil, I don't put, watercolor doesn't need a fixative, you frame it behind glass. Colored pencil doesn't need a fixative, you frame it behind glass. Like glass is the fixative. But some people, we used to do for Prismacolor, because Prismacolor will develop wax bloom over time. Prismacolor used to make, and I don't know if they still do, they did have a fixative that was supposed to prevent that from happening. I don't know how well it worked. Prismacolor is just its own disaster. But most colored pencils, that's not going to be something that you need to do, so I don't use a fixative. The exception to that for me, I do put SpectraFix over colored pencil if I use Pan Pastels. But that's for the Pan Pastel aspect, not for the colored pencil aspect, but it's fine over the colored pencils as well. So technically that would work, although I don't know how that would affect with watercolor. I have no idea. There's not really a reason to put it over anything here. So no fixative for me on this. What? You're making a lot of noise over there. Let's see. Vesna said, hi Lisa, how exciting that French fry is with you now. What have you got planned for upcoming projects on Patreon? So Patreon, I have the video of French fry. It's an acrylic painting on gold. I've had this thing with the gold and metallic stuff lately, but that one, I'm working on the voiceover for that. So that's the next one. I want to do something in surreal piece with acrylics is definitely something I have planned. I just haven't designed it yet, but I know that that is coming. I definitely want to start getting more surreal stuff done. I have not done a lot of that lately. Which colored pencil and paper are you using? The links are in the video description, but the paper I used is actually a 300 pound, and I'm pretty sure this was Fabriano Artistico, although Arches is what I recommend. I'm just using up old stuff here. Let's see. Oh my gosh, it's only 9:20. Is that right? Holy crap. I thought it was like 20 minutes later than that. Yeah, much later. Here, you want to come sit out here? Since you're falling asleep in there, come fall asleep on me. Come here, let go. And his middle name is Let Go. Yeah, oh, you're going to go explore, aren't you? You're like, ooh, what can I fly on? And he's off. Where are you going? Yeah, that's fine. He's up on my light right now. Really? Is that here? Which? He is sitting on, oh, you can't really see it. It's too dark. He's up there on that light thing. You're just going to stay there? I mean, it's perfectly safe. I guess that's fine. What else did I want to talk about? Let's see. Noctis said, have you tried the watercolor paper with the stretchers you got? I have not. Okay, so there's actually a reason for it. I need to go to Walmart and get some big plastic bins so I can stretch the paper first, because I want to do it with distilled water, because it doesn't make sense to me to be using tap water on anything to do with watercolor. I just haven't done it. I have plenty of distilled water. I don't have the bins to soak it in. And so every time I think about it, I'm like, oh, I need to go get those. And I just don't, because I don't go to Walmart very often. So yeah, that is that. Where are you going? And he's on the dart frogs. Come here. You're just going to explore. I knew he was going to do this because he's not been in here. He just wants to explore everything. Oh my God, he's wound up. Which color? Okay, I got that one. I remember another live stream you showed them. I've not gotten into stretching watercolor paper, but I want to try. Yeah, me too, for sure. I definitely need to. I got those, and it's just the big tub to soak paper in. Like, it's not even that big of a deal. I just don't have one. Well, technically I do if I took other stuff out of it. I wonder if Matt would care if I removed all his stuff from one of those tubs. Come here. Off you go. Don't fall behind the easel. That's inconvenient too. Oh, please not get back there. And you did it. Well, you're gonna have to come out on your own. I cannot easily get you back there. Well, kind of I can. Oh, he did. And he's over there. So what's funny, you can see how much he flies. This is with clipped wings. These guys don't weigh anything, so clipping their wings doesn't do a lot of good. The breeder asked if I wanted her to clip them. I'm like, go ahead and do it just to slow him down, because I knew this was going to be the case. When they get to learn everything, but after this, he won't have them clipped. It won't make any difference. They can fly obviously just fine with or without, huh? Okay. Eagle said, I watched the stream replay of the cute bald eagle drawing. Wishing you a very happy late 4th of July from Canada. Anyway, the eagle drawing is amazing. Thank you. Beverilla said he did a flyby. He fell in a not convenient, oh, I bet he was on the windowsill. He probably didn't go all the way down. Behind, there's an area I would not be able to easily get to him. He'd kind of have to do it on his own, huh? So, yeah. Why do you stretch watercolor, and how does all watercolor paper need that? So most of it comes saying that it's pre-stretched or pre-sized. Not really. What happens if you don't do it, it will, even with taping it down the way I do, it will kind of warp. And depending on the paper and quality and all that, and how much water you use, it may really warp. And I have a tendency to use too much water. So it really warps. If you pre-stretch it, so you soak it for like 5 minutes, I think it is, in distilled water. I think it's 5 to 10 minutes. It depends on how far you want to go with that, but about 5 minutes. You soak it and then you stretch it out. So you've got a few ways you can do. You can take a big board and there's watercolor tape to tape down the work, although that's kind of 50-50 on how well that works. So you then have to staple the edges all the way to make sure it stays like completely flat. It is so much prep work that I'm not willing, I just don't do it. Not willing to. I'm lazy. I'm not going to do it. These stretcher bars I bought, you remove them and screw them in. So there's no tape, there's no staples, but you're limited on that exact size. Although you could just stretch a big one and then cut it down. So there's that too, but it keeps it from warping when you use a lot of water again in the future. So even though like these watercolor blocks, like pre-stretch, pre-size, no, it's not the same. So yeah, Arches claims that they are heavy sizing, but people have found it helps to prepare it. Exactly. I have warped so many Arches pieces, like so much. Are you falling asleep? You are, huh? I have warped so much paper with Arches, like badly so. They were 140 pound. The 300 pound, less likely to warp, but it's still, yeah, it's a good idea. Now, one of the things I thought, here, I'll share with you kind of a funny story. And this is what you guys hear me talk about so often when it comes to beginner groups on Facebook, on whatever groups that you're following, beginner YouTubers they may have, the time you've painted doesn't indicate whether you're a beginner or advanced. I know plenty of people who have 20 years experience in painting and they're still beginners. And they will always be beginners because they've never pushed themselves out of the beginner stage. So there's that. But beginner groups, I see some of the worst advice in beginner groups. Like, for example, one group, oh, I have it screenshotted because I was going to read it to you guys, but I don't know where it is. So we'll just tell you the story. Somebody asked in a beginner acrylic painting group, what varnishes does everyone use? So most people, Liquitex, this, that, everyone's suggesting different things. One woman goes on and she says, I've used everything. I use Liquitex, but also you can save money and just go to the hardware store and get any of the water-based, like polyurethane type varnishes, gloss varnishes. What did she say? It's identical to the Liquitex gloss. That's completely scientifically, chemically inaccurate. That is not. And so I told her, I'm like, it's not the same. I explained it to her why it's not. And she comes back, well, I'm not going to, or something, there's no point in arguing with you, or I'm not going to argue with you. There's no point. No, you're right. But she heard one of her friends told her, and they've published a textbook. Oh, well, if they publish a textbook, obviously they know what they're talking about. How many textbooks say the earth is flat? I mean, come on. So I'm just like, oh God, you'll believe anything, won't you? Oh, and you probably vote too. But anyway, sorry, that's too close to politics. But this woman was arguing and she was just adamant, same thing. Person who wrote a textbook. Well, first off, I'm going to I'm just going to call you a liar. I think you're probably a liar. But even if it did happen, that's still not an argument that wins, because writing a book, anyone can write a book. That doesn't mean you know what you're talking about. And it's funny because you looked at her artwork, this person who's giving everyone advice, telling people how to use something, hardware store varnish, that is actually going to damage your work over time. That is going to yellow or cause different issues. It's not the same as fine art materials. It's meant to be like painted over wood, not, or cement, whatever, depending on the product, not canvas. So it's not meant for that. It's not meant to hold up the same as what our fine art stuff goes. But she was so determined that she was right, and she's giving this advice to other people. And the reason that I was arguing with her wasn't to convince her. She was obviously a nut job. So I wanted to convince, like, anyone reading this, please don't think this woman knows what she's talking about. But it's so common in beginner groups. And this is one of the dangers. I don't like most beginner groups. The only reason I'm in that one is I like to see, it kind of reminds me sometimes of what problems that beginners often have, so that I can, make sure I'm covering that when I'm doing my lessons and such. So, but yeah, the answers that people get, I posted a cute photo. You guys may have seen it. Actually, if you're on my email newsletter, you saw it. The picture of, I keep calling him Nugget, a French fry sitting on the painting I did of him. A lady commented that I needed to take him to an avian vet because he had discoloration on his neck and he looked really scared in the photo. And it's like, this is, again, an example of people in these groups, they don't know what they're talking about, and that could potentially, like, why would you, I think I responded, my avian vet frowns upon taking a perfectly healthy bird in to see him for shadows on the neck. But it was just like, are you insane? Also, his posture was that of a curious baby bird, like, ooh, what can I get into now? There was nothing fearful about that. People want to give out advice and they don't know what they're talking about. Just be careful who you're taking this advice from. Beginner art groups, look at their art. They're almost always beginners giving beginner advice. And they don't know, they want, like, I don't know why they want their voice heard on a topic they don't know anything about. Mostly it's people regurgitating information they heard from somebody else, but you've played that game of telephone. We all know, as that information gets spread from person to person to person, it gets further and further away from the truth. I think that's why we get a lot of myths. I actually have to wonder if the myth of don't use water, that it will mess up the binding in acrylics or whatever the BS was they come up with. I have to wonder if it was something similar to that. Somebody was like, yeah, if you use too much water, it doesn't adhere as well to the canvas, which is true. But once it's varnished, it doesn't matter. But I'm like, was this a game of telephone where somebody else then took that information and skewed it to something else, and then skewed it to something else, to where we have the BS that's spread today of the honeycomb structure binding molecules, and it's all BS, all made up. But I'm like, it probably started from a beginner art group of a bunch of people who want to give advice who don't know what the heck they're talking about, advising others. So yeah, that is... watch out for that in these groups. It's so bad. Like, and that's what really is surprising to me. Like, people will ask questions in a beginner art group and they're only getting answers. Every once in a while someone like me will answer, but for the most part they're getting answers from other beginners. That's not helpful at all. Oh, you should make that more purple. For effing what? What do you think that's gonna do? More what? The drawing is wrong. The perspective is off. It doesn't matter how much more purple you add. The eye is in the wrong location. It's on the chin. Why is there an eye on the chin? I'm not kidding. I saw one of those. It was like down here. And it was supposed to be realism. These are not groups that you want to take advice from. Definitely try to find more advanced people. And while you may feel like, oh, but they're too advanced for me. No, but you're a lot more likely to learn something from that. We have, oh, thank you, RBMB. Oh, you got your first super chat, but I don't have a treat for you. I don't know that you'd eat it right now anyway because you're falling asleep. How about kisses? There's your super chat. French fry kisses. Thank you so much. Say hello. I'm falling asleep. It's near bedtime. Yeah, he's got a half hour before bedtime, so him is falling asleep. I'm going to have to put you back in the cage so you can fill up on, how's your crop feeling? You're pretty full. You probably could eat a bit more. That's got a lot of millet in that crop, though. I mean, say thank you. First super chat. Eventually, when millet is being used, right now millet's being used as the primary part of his diet, but once we get him weaned off that and he's eating more pellets and veggies and stuff, millet will be a fun treat that we can super chat for him. Also use that for training. Let's see. Joseph said, AI can write a book and it says normal backpack is fine for skydiving. Exactly. And oh God, so much. We warned of this too. Google is getting to, I think Google is kind of shooting itself in the foot or in its own foot. Can a AI do that? I don't know. But it doesn't work anymore. Like when I Google something, I'm looking for something specific. First off, you type in something like, well, I'm trying to think of a recent question. Like we actually Googled what the gestation period was for, or how long it took for a parrotlet egg to hatch. Google AI doesn't understand the difference between parrot and parrotlet, so its answer was completely wrong. Completely wrong. Well, if somebody that's the first result you see, you think it's correct, and it's not. Google AI, I'm surprised that they're pushing the answer that the AI gives at the top of those, because it is wrong more often than it's right. Like it's so bad, and it's getting to where it's really hard to find what you're looking for. I know people are using, was it DuckDuckGo? I may have to check that out. But Google as a search, it doesn't show you anything anymore. It's like what it thinks you want, not what you're actually searching for. And I found this out when I was looking for oil pastel paintings. It won't show me many. It shows me 20, and then it's like, oh, you're at the end of the search. What do you mean? There's only been 20 oil pastels done in history. That's all that your internet can find. I know that's not true. It's just all you've decided to show me. So yeah, Google and their AI is just getting horrible. I have a feeling though that they're hurting themselves, because I know like me, I've always used Google for everything. I'm getting really sick of wrong information and not finding what I'm looking for. So I need to find, I don't know, let me know what browsers you like. Definitely not Microsoft Edge. Nothing Microsoft. That is just a pile of trash. But you know, let me know what ones you guys like. Let's see. Eagle said, I've heard so many times online that you can't draw from direct life or from a photo, because to be real, a real artist, you draw or paint from imagination. Makes me so frustrated. It's funny you mentioned that, because I have like a skit. I've actually got to record the video tonight, but the video that I'm working on right now, I've got a little skit about that, because it's what everyone does. I drew this from my imagination. Yeah, we can tell. I don't know why you're proud about it, but we can tell. Yeah, that is a very common thing from people who don't know how to paint. People who actually are good, we all know you need a reference photo. Let's see. Oh. Nadine said, antique furniture is often either darkened or yellowed over time. What does she think causes that? Maybe the polyurethane, you think, right? Especially the oil-based ones. Do parrotlets talk? They do. Nugget talks a lot. He's our biggest talker. He learns from, everyone learns from chicken. So chicken learns, like chicken knows big chicken, come here. He also clears his throat like I do, because every time I'm doing big chicken with a high-pitched voice, I end up having to clear my voice. So chicken does big chicken, big chicken. He actually clears it. Well, Nugget now does that too. And they do that and they hold their wings. Nugget says peekaboo. I'm gonna teach him here, kitty, kitty, kitty. I'm working on teaching Chicken that too. And then Chicken will teach it to everybody else. What else? Chicken sings Game of Thrones and ruins the end, just like the writers. What else does Nugget say? Nugget says baby bird, dance, 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 baby, baby bird. But it's funny because apparently he thinks my husband's voice sounds like a demon, because when Nugget, so imagine bird this size, baby bird, baby bird, baby, baby bird. And it's like, it sounds like, but it's more guttural, and it's like, that bird is possessed. But I guess that's what Matt's deeper voice sounds like to him. It's really funny. So yeah, no, they're definitely talkers, but it's not clear. Like you guys have heard the African Greys and the Amazons, and they're very clear. They're not as clear. You have to know what they're trying to say, but oh, they're talkers too. And usually when they start falling asleep, they sit there and mutter to themselves. So with him, he just sits there and kind of chirps when he's falling asleep. When Nugget's falling asleep, he runs through every word he knows, but like it's kind of under his breath, like mutters the words. It's so freaking cute. But yeah, the boys definitely talk. I'm not sure if the females talk as much. Nugget and French Fry are both boys. Start page is very good. I've not heard of that. I should write that down. Start page. I don't know what that is, but I will look it up. Exactly. Joseph says, I draw from my imagination all the time and use reference photos to get it right. And exactly, that's like, and that's kind of the point I'm making in this video that I'm working on right now, because it's like, people think that you're not going to be imaginative, that you're not going to be as creative if you are using reference photos. I feel it's the opposite, because when you look at, like, I have my painting of the whale. Actually, I've got it over here. Don't fly, okay? We're going to grab this and use this as just an example, because it's actually what this video is on. It's actually a phone cover I need to put on my phone. So this is the painting, the whale swimming above the road, that I'm using for this one. And it's like, that painting, I used 30 plus reference photos to get this so that it looked realistic. Because if I'm painting a road and a mountain scene and a whale, what I think those look like in my head, when I paint it on the canvas, people are going to be like, it's a pig, but it's got weird fins. What did you do? If I'm looking at a reference photo, I can help the viewer to see what I'm seeing in my head. Otherwise, what comes out is not going to look like that. Your little nail is like digging into a, there we go. Oh, it's making me itch right there. Thank you. Let's see. I was told you can't call art original if it comes from a photo. People come up, it's always people who don't know what they're doing. Notice the people who come up with these rules, if they're artists, they're absolute crap artists. Like they are spending too much time making excuses for why their art, trying to justify why their art is good. Because when you look at it, you're like, well, it's not good. So they're trying to justify, no, it's good, and this is why. And yours isn't good because you used a photo. Yours isn't good because this, when yours is obviously took far more skill. You put more time into learning the technique, into learning the skill, into learning to draw, into learning how to be good at art. They didn't want to put the time into it. They put all their time into making up excuses on why yours is not actually as good as theirs, when it's really, that's not the case. Like every time someone comes up with a rule like that, that's what it is. It's always a crap artist. It is never someone who's good, ever. It's always someone very insecure making up excuses. Art by MB said you should teach French Fry how to make the kiss sound. Oh, he'll learn that on his own because I'm always kissing him. See? Nugget makes the kiss sound back at me. When I do it, he does it too. Let's see. Eagle said, I love painting from life, but usually use a photo, which I also really like. It's stupid. Old masters use life references. They still say the masters cheated using life. There's no cheating. You can't, and that's the thing, the word cheating with art. The only thing that I think is cheating in art is violating somebody's copyright. And that gets into a whole legal thing. Like, it's not your design, it's theirs. But you can't cheat in art. I don't care what methods, what techniques, what tools you use to create something good. I only care that you created something good. The people who are making these rules and making these excuses, I don't care about their art, so why the heck would I care about what they have to say? They're terrible at art. They're terrible at making excuses for why their art is terrible. That's all it is trying to justify why they are too lazy to get good at something. It's not that they couldn't. Anyone can get good. They've chosen the lazy route. They've chosen to make excuses instead of putting in the work. Let's see. Brave browser, the best secure one. I've heard of that one. I'll write that down. Writing on a paper towel is not easy. Should probably write on a piece of paper. Let's see, are parrotlets one-person birds like some of the other talking birds like African greys? Yeah, mostly. I mean, they're not like they're going to attack somebody or chase someone down because they don't like you. It's not like that. They have their one person and they're not interested in anybody else. Like if Matt takes Nugget and sticks him on my shoulder or anybody else's shoulder, he's not going to bite you or anything. He's just going to instantly, like a magnet, almost teleport back to Matt. So, but Nugget, if I sit on the floor, Nugget's my husband's parrotlet, the green one. If I sit on the floor in there when I'm playing with Chicken, Nugget comes over and wants to play with me too. But he does not step up. He doesn't want to hold me or me to hold him. Every once in a while he'll come and land on me, but for the most part he just wants to play. Like he likes me when I crinkle plastic bags. Parrotlets have this thing with plastic bags. He hasn't hit that stage yet, but they lose their mind, and Nugget loves the game of crinkle the bag. If I crinkle the bag for him and let him attack it, and he sits there telling it off, and he just loves that, then he'll let me play peekaboo, where I could put a towel or something on top of him, and then you lift it, and he goes, peekaboo. So yeah, he will play with me like that. But he doesn't want to hang out with me. Like if we're just sitting relaxed, like see how he's sitting this guy is like this, he's only really moving forward. The more he gets bonded to me, he's only really going to want to do that with me. He won't be super interested in sitting next to somebody else because he's bonded to me. So that's why we're trying to have Matt not handle him too much, which Matt is having a hard time with. Matt wants to steal this bird so bad, but we're trying to have Matt not handle him too much to make sure that this guy bonds with me. You spend all day with me though, so it shouldn't be a problem. See, seriously, sweetest baby bird. Does that feel good? Oh, fluff your head. So in love with this bird. Okay. Pharaoh said, well, frustrating hearing stuff, very frustrating hearing stuff like that. I need a photo. I can't see pictures in my head since an accident. You know, I'm sorry about the accident, but it wouldn't matter anyway. If you want your work to be good, you look at a photo. I don't care how many flamingos I have painted. If I still want to do something, I can do something that's more stylized without a photo, sure. But if I want something realistic, I need a photo. I mean, even cartoonists, so like Aaron Blaise, he is one of the most amazing cartoonists or animators, a cartoonist, I don't know what he goes by, animator, he's just all around a good artist. One of the most amazing of our time when it, like with that style, and he still is going to use multiple reference photos. So this idea that you don't need photos, or like if you're a good artist don't use, it's an excuse made by people who don't know what they're talking about. It's something that lazy people say. Like if someone says that to you, you're like, oh, you're lazy and never got good at art. That's what happened there. So many people are mad that they can't, like, I think part of this too comes from people think you're born being good at art, and you're not. It's a learned skill. You're not born being a good doctor. You'll learn how to be a doctor. You study. Art is no different, but people think of art as, oh, you're gifted, you're God gifted. Now, I'm a Christian. So it's not like I'm bashing the faith in something, but if God calls you to do something, then you still have to go learn how to do it. It's not just fairy dust on your head, bam, you're a good artist. No, what happens is most of us are just like really interested in art from the time we're children, and we were drawing so long, it appears, you know, out of the blue when we were teenagers, we're suddenly good. And that wasn't the case. We learned, we practiced, but people have in their head that it's something you're either born with or you're not. So that theory of you've either got it or you don't, that I think is one of the things that happens where people, the lazy people who don't want to put the work in, they feel that they should have just been gifted with this art. Therefore, the fact that somebody else is better than them, it's because they're cheating. Not because we're putting in the work, not because we took so much more time while they were watching movies, while they were playing video games, while they were hanging out with their friends. We're over here busting our butts, drawing constantly. That's what we enjoy. We draw and draw and draw and paint, and we are getting so much more practice in, and we're using the right tools, and we're watching videos and learning from other artists. We're reading books. We're just obsessed with learning more while they're screwing off, and they think that they should be as good as you without putting in that work. But they don't want to put in the work. They only want to complain and tell everybody else why you're wrong, that you do things the way you want. So when someone says that to you, heck, I just block them, because you're like, you are of no value to me. You have nothing to say of value, not at this point in your life, because you're being too lazy. You could be good, but you chose to be lazy and complain that somebody else put in the work you didn't, and that you are not getting the same results. It's like somebody who wants the same paycheck that somebody who's working 80 hours a week. They want that check, but they want to put in 2 hours of work, and then complain that they're not, oh, there's a pay wage gap thing between your position and my position. You worked 2 hours. They worked 80. Of course there's a disparity there in the income level. And it's the same thing with the skill level. Like, they just don't want to put in the work. They only want to complain and tell you why your way is wrong, even though your way is the one that's obviously working. What? Beep. You getting close to bedtime? Yeah, huh? Oh, you gonna preen? Make your feathers pretty? Okay. Let's see. Exactly. One SGWW said, I wouldn't take advice from people who are so narrow-minded. Exactly. But those people are also the loudest. They talk the most. They criticize the most, because, I mean, what else are they going to do? They can't feel good about what they're doing. They're going to have to drag everyone else down instead. Yeah, now that's interesting. Unicar said, hubby has been working for a little over a year now. He was so upset when he found a contest he wanted to enter, but they don't allow anything that used a photo as reference. Stupid rules. So normally what that is it has to be a photo you've taken. If you've taken the reference photo, they're fine with it because it's your art creation and I have no problem with that. But if you get people like the losers who don't want to put in work and learning how to paint and learning the tools to use, they are going to be more likely to, like if they put on their own show, they're going to set their own rules. Well, then you don't get entry of good art because good art always needs a reference. So yeah, that's either check though, because most of the time when that's the case, it's that they don't, I haven't seen one that just didn't allow any reference photos. I've only seen where they didn't allow you to take, it can't be something you took from a class, like took a lesson for. That makes sense to me. It's something it has to be something you created on your own. And it can be you can use a photo, but it has to be a photo you took. And so that's the only time I've ever personally seen that. As long as you took the photo, they were good with it. Art ZK1 said, on Brave, I looked up acrylic painting images and a lot of them showed up. Look up oil pastel images. That was what I had a hard time finding. Eagle said, Eagle, previously Python, said, some beginner artists refuse to draw from life or draw from photo because they don't want to, in their art beliefs, commit an art crime. Not drawing from something like photo or life makes you worse. Yep. Let's see. Laura said, do you have a tip for painting blonde, almost white hair with shadows in acrylic paint? Sorry for the poor English, not my language. Well, you speak it better than most people who it is our language, so you're good. Yeah, really pale blonde hair, I'm usually going to be using purple, a little bit of yellow to mute the purple, not to make yellow hair. If the hair looks yellow, you use too much yellow, like yellow ochre, something just to tone down the purple and white. And that's going to give you those lighter colors. For the shadows, look at a photo, get a photo of it. Usually the shadows are going to be more grays, purpley tones, like a purple tint to the gray, a magenta tint to the gray, a blue tint to the gray. You're going to have a lot of color in there because it reflects what's around it. So it just depends on what is around in that photo. But those are typically what I use. Just don't let it come out actually being yellow. The yellow is only to neutralize the purple. Oops, that just scrolled too far. Snow says, I couldn't find a parrotlet picture on Unsplash or Pixabay. Well, I will be posting tons of photos, so you know if you're on my, what is it, the $16 tier or higher on Patreon, you get to use whatever photos I post. I will have on my personal social media. There's going to be lots of photos of you. I'm sure there will be photos, especially as he matures, because right now he still has baby feathers. When his colors are a little bit more bold, he'll get more green in his face. I will definitely be posting a lot of photos for Patreon too, even the $6 tier. And the Patreon video that I'm going to be doing, I'll have the reference photo of him from his first day home all floofed up. So you'll get that one too. Beep. Yeah, parrotlets weren't a breed that you just didn't see them until around 2010 and later. You started really seeing them more. Before that, like definitely in the 90s, they were just unheard of in the 90s. The only people we knew of who had them in the 90s had to smuggle them in, because I don't remember, I think it was like that they were, I'm just trying to remember from back then because I was a teenager, I didn't pay attention to a lot, but I think that they were illegal. I don't remember if they were endangered at the time. I don't remember what the deal was, but you just did not see them. Like I'd never seen them in person. Nugget was the first one I ever saw in person when we went to pick him up. The reason we got into parrotlets, so we had chicken for 2 years, and I was just gonna get a parakeet. And so I contacted Chicken's breeder to see if she had a parakeet because I wanted another bird in the room, not to share a cage, but to be in the room, because when we were working, I didn't want a chicken sitting home alone in a room with no one to talk to because they're social animals. So again, different cage, but in the same room. So I contacted the breeder and she's like, I don't have any parakeets, but I do right now have a parrotlet that's ready to go. His brother was being picked up the next day. So we went I think it was like the next day. I asked her about it. I'm like, yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know much about parrotlets, like as in nothing, but that should be a cute buddy for chicken. Well, it turns out they're my personal favorite type of birds. Like these guys, I absolutely like, they're just everything about them. They're just so tolerant of everything. Oh, you're upside down. And Nugget's like this too. Even Nugget's 6 now, and Nugget is just so tolerant, huh? you can just do anything with that bird, as long as you handle him right. No, you know, they're handled regularly and he's hand fed, so that makes it easier. Neat is personality, but yeah, you just don't see them that often. I never see them in pet stores, except for the bird store we go to that we got, the guy we got sushi from, but he occasionally has them. Hi, did I wake you up? You're looking like you want to get into something now. So yeah, you don't see them as often, but I'll be providing them for you guys. Eagle sit, and he's off. Where are you going? You're gonna sit on that light again? You gonna come down, or do I have to come get you? I have to come get you, don't I? Oh, you're taking off. Come on, off you go. Don't go behind the thing again. Don't go behind please don't go behind, Andy's behind Dragon's tank. Oh, you're not gonna be fun. Oh, you're not in the hardest place to get to. Come here. Are you gonna get out on your own? Hold on, I have to fish out a bird. Oh, geez, there's spider cobwebs back here. Really? Where'd you go? I hear you. Hi, come here. Okay, behind Dragon's cage. Come here. Where are you? I hear you. Are you gonna have to get out on, well, there's plants back here, so I don't wanna leave him in case he starts to nibble on something. Where'd you go? So I have Dragon's cage blocked so that Dragon can't get under it, but apparently not blocked. Parrotlet, come here. I see you. He's looking at me through the slats of a crate that's down here. Oh my gosh, you're too cute. Come here. Oh, I don't want that to fall on you. Oh, I don't think it will. Can you come here for a second? You are not being cooperative. There's just too much crap behind Dragon's cage. You're just gonna sit on the extension cord, aren't you? Oh my gosh. This is one of the hardest places to get an animal out from, because I can't really see him, and then I reach for him, he's like, nope, can't catch. Where'd you go? Oh, I almost had you. Got you. Got him. Oof. And he's off. Okay, really? Yeah, you're having fun now, huh? Come on. Don't go behind Dragon's cage. Oh, you're on a ceiling fan. Well, you can just sit up there. I am not even gonna get you up from down there. Okay. Let's see. Well, I'm not coming to get you. You got yourself up there. You can come down on your own. I'm just scrolling. Baby Panda says the blue under French fried's wings are gorgeous. Yeah, that's actually the part that makes him a boy, or why you can tell he's a boy is the blue there. I'm out of breath now. I am really out of shape. One SGWW said, I had a painting instructor who would use those rules to justify his position as the professor. Oh God, some professors are seriously, they should be near no one. What? I hear you. You're not stuck. Yeah, especially college professors tend to be some of the worst art teachers you could find. Some of them are good. A lot of them are not. Yeah, I know, I see. Are you proud of yourself? You're up on the fan. Wow, that unicorn art said that contest wouldn't even allow photos that the artist took. I wouldn't enter a contest like that. See, that's the thing. I'm not even mad that you've got a contest that's stupid like that. I wouldn't enter. Like, you now just eliminated any skilled, good, realist artist. We're out. Why would we enter that? That's something that was likely put on by people who they themselves are not good artists, and they wanted to create their own. Well, fine, I'm going to make my own rules, and then the good artists, like, they eliminated anyone good from competing against them. That's the reason they do that. Like, obviously, they now no longer have competition, so makes sense. Don't enter. Whoops, that just scrolled too far. Sorry. You can come down on your own. I hear you up there. Eagle said, our professors are scary. They don't research like any other tenure track or tenure professor. They just make up stupid rules. Yeah, I am not impressed with our college system at all. Let's see. Does French fry make a mess when flying out of his cage? What? He's like, don't talk about that. They go about every 15 minutes and it's so tiny. So it's really easy to clean up. And I just, like anywhere where I've got furniture where I wouldn't be able to just throw it in the washer, obviously, I have blankets. Or I bought, they're like placemats, but cloth. They're basically like big fabric cotton napkins, like big. And I put that over anything that I don't want, that I can't wash. Hold on. Where did you go? You went close to plants. Let me make sure. Oh, there you are. You looking at the fish? Or not fish. Those are shrimp. Those aren't fish. Okay. So yeah, you just, like, my chicken protection kit is what I call them. You just cover any furniture where you don't want poop because you can't obviously throw that in the washer, and then anything else just gets washed. Yeah. Let's see. Our ZK1 said, I want a parrotlet. Yeah, they're definitely, I think they're the best birds. They're not as noisy. They still need a lot of attention. That's going to be the thing. They have to have a lot of attention like any bird. They're social animals, which is perfect for me because I'm in the office all day with you, huh? Yeah. Yeah, really neat birds. I call them Ingerfloofs. Oh, they get an attitude as they age. You'll definitely see that in videos. It's hilarious to see a little bird this big poofed up telling you off because whatever reason. It is so funny. Huh. How much of a mess is around the cage? Tell us about maintenance of this cute bird. If I get one, I want to know how much work I'm setting up for. Okay, so birds, messy. Birds eat and chew on everything. Wire. So like I don't leave him out of the cage when I'm not in the room. Oh, none of our birds. Well, that's not totally true. Chicken actually leave out for about 15 minutes to an hour. He gets to sit on Nugget's cage in the morning looking out the one window. And then, yeah, that's the only bird that, and my canary gets to be out unattended because there's nothing for him to chew on. I bird proofed it. I canary proofed it. It's not, you are not proof from it though, because your beak can do damage. Even as little as it is, he can chew on mini blinds. He could chew on cords or wires. Like if you've got a mouse pad, it's going to have bites out of it. So you have to watch that sort of thing, what they're chewing on. I don't ever like them out of the cage unattended at all. They're going to be able to fly. Even if, like I said, his wings are clipped and you see him flying all over the place, which I prefer them to be fully flighted at least when you get older. Your next feathers, I'm not kidding. But you have to be careful. You don't want them getting out. Although I will say with parrotlets, that's the one bird. I think if Matt were to walk outside with Nugget, I don't think he'd go anywhere. And when we picked up Nugget, the person who was picking up Nugget's brother, she walks out. We're outside in front of a Petco. She walks up. It's like we're doing some kind of crazy shady deal. But she walks up and she's just got her bird sitting on her shoulder, fully flighted. At one point, something scared him. He flew, came right back to her shoulder. And it's funny because me and Matt are looking at each other like, I would never risk that. And I still wouldn't. But I see why, like this bird, this is the type of bird, like Matt can throw Nugget in the air and it's like a magnet instantly. Like it's almost like he teleports, he's so fast, back on his shoulder. So you've got to watch that somebody doesn't accidentally let them out. But if you're there and they're bonded to you, I don't think less likely with them than any other bird, I think, to fly off if it's truly bonded to you. If it's not, a lot of people get them and they're very standoffish. Like I'm in some of these parrotlet groups and they give the worst behavioral advice. Somebody will get a new bird and they're like, the bird's still afraid of me. He still won't come out of the cage. And I'm like, what do you mean he won't come out of the cage? Stick your hand in there and grab him. Like grab him. Actually, I was talking to the owner because she's not had one and today about that. And I was like, yeah, don't listen to the people in those groups. Just grab him. Like you see me holding him. He doesn't care, especially if they're hand fed. He's used to, they're used to being handled like that. But, you're going to have to put a lot of time in with them. They want to be with you all the time. Obviously, you're not going to do that. But if you don't want to make up for that by getting two and putting them in the same cage, you put two birds in the same cage. One, they are just as likely to kill each other as they are to love each other. They may love each other for years and you'll come home to a dead bird because one killed, not just because they're parrotlets. All birds can do that. Lovebirds are notorious for that. So I don't like to cage two birds together. Cockatiels, less of an issue. Parakeets, less of an issue. But yeah, if you want it bonded to you, you don't want them in the same cage. You just want two cages in the same room so they can see and talk to each other. But mess-wise, yeah, you're going to be vacuuming every day around the cage. Kind of depends on what you feed. Right now he's got seed and millet, but as he gets older, he'll primarily be on the Tops pellets. That's the only pellet that I really like. And going by the ingredients, most pellets are nothing but corn, soy, and wheat. I'm not feeding that to an animal. But like, let's top off the 3 worst ingredients you can feed an animal, and that's primarily what they are. So this one is actually, if you look up Tops Parrot Food, just go to their website, you can see amazing ingredients. But that and veggies, I do a veggie chop, so once a month or so, once every 2 months, I run a bunch of vegetables through a food processor. I can give you links to like recipes for that, but it's a bunch of different vegetables. I don't feed a lot of fruit because actually I prefer not to feed any fruit because they don't need the sugar. Most parrots end up with kidney and liver issues over the years because of the diet. We feed them too much seed, too many carbs, too much. Now these guys should have some seed because they do burn a lot because they fly so much, but yeah, the parrot food, that's a whole other conversation I won't bore you with, but I can give you recipes for that. So I give them their, veggies in the morning, and I do this for all the birds, even tuna, the canary gets this. They get their veggie chop in the morning, so it's like mush of a bunch of different veggies. That sits in their cage. 2 hours later, I go and remove that because you don't want bacteria to build up, and then they've got their pellets and their seed for the rest of the day, and then they get veggies again at night, or Bird Street Bistro that has grains and cooked grains and stuff I make for them. So there's like a lot involved as far as the way that I feed them. I put more effort into it because that's like just something I'm into is the diet stuff. What else? The cage, the bigger the better. You don't want bars wider than 1/2 inch, but the bigger the better for any bird, so they can, and these guys will utilize it. So a lot of the cages, people will tell you always go wider versus tall, but these guys, they're so playful, they will use even a tall cage. So you can get like a nice tall thin, and they've got nice ones on Amazon. Unfortunately, we don't know which ones have lead or not, and that's always a risk, but because yay, things out of China. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else. You got to have it, it's a good idea to have an avian vet that you are aware of where they're located. We haven't had to take any of these guys to a vet, so we don't have one that we have like a close relationship with, but I do know there's one in Grapevine, and I know there was one in Frisco. I don't know if they're still there. And then I think there was another one. My dog food lady gave me a link to. Trying to think what else. I cover their cage every night. They get anywhere from 12 to 14 hours of sleep at night, and this will help keep their hormone levels down. So one of the problems that a lot of people have behavior-wise with parrots is we feed them a food that is so high calorie that it puts the bird in a state of, it's breeding season. I've got all these calories in me. I'm amped up. Breeding season, and then they turn into a-holes. And then people are like, well, they keep biting me, they're giving, behavioral issues, and it turns out it's actually a hormonal issue because of the diet we give them, and then other signs like too much sunlight or too much light during the day. So 12 to 14 hours of sleep at night is what they get, and you just cover them. They're quiet, they sleep all night long. But you want it on a schedule. So like he knows 10 o'clock, so you can see he's falling asleep right now. He's grinding his beak. You're very tired, huh? It's bedtime. So he'll go to sleep now, and I'll wake him up at 11, and then I go through the cycle again with all the veggies and all that. But it's not that much, like it's not as much work as my reef tank. But they require more time as far as energy with you and being able to be with you. They are going to want to be with you all the time, but you want to be able to spend at least 2 or 3 hours a day with them, I would say is like minimum. Minimum I would be comfortable with. So I think that's a lot. Feel free though, if you want more, because you're in our Discord, ask me questions over there. I am happy to talk about animals all day long. Let's see. Unicorn Art said, now I want a bird. I'm going to be disowned. Well, luckily these ones aren't too terribly quiet, but make sure you get one that came from a good breeder, one that did hand feed them. Because when you get one that isn't hand fed, if you don't know how to tame a bird, and most people don't, and most of the advice online is the worst advice ever, this isn't what you're going to get. You're going to get a bird that's very standoffish, and I'm not saying that's not going to make a great pet for somebody, but it's not going to make a great pet for somebody who doesn't know how to tame them. And it's not just as simple as, oh, be patient. You can be patient all you want. You're never going to get this if you don't know how to actually tame them. And I wouldn't say, like, if you're new to birds, don't jump into one like that. Jump in, get one that's been hand-fed that is super affectionate already. Let's see. We'll wrap this up. I just want to go through the last few questions here. Nick says, words that don't often go together in a sentence. Fish out a bird. Oh, it has with him. I've been fishing this bird out of all kinds of locations because he's in that very much explore all the things stage. He's not been as bad as I expected. I was afraid he'd fly so much. I was afraid if he got behind the table that I've got next to me, it's a kitchen island, that I would really have a hard time getting him out. But he got himself out. Behind Dragon was the hardest thing. Oh, I'm glad where it was. You didn't see my butt in the air as I was trying to fish him out from behind there. Clarifying Art said our male parakeet has started mimicking some of Tuca, our sun conure, aka Scream Chicken, that's what they're called, says, funny, the cages are near each other and they chatter all the time. See, and I think that's perfect for birds if they have another bird in the room. Like Tuna has actually really seemed to be, now that he's gotten used to him, Tuna is being hilarious. He's so much more active. He keeps coming up and looking at him, and it's not that they can be together. It wouldn't be safe for Tuna because he's a soft bill. He definitely could not protect himself, but he's just happier having another bird in the room, happier than I thought he would have been. He was mad for hours. He sat there like basically barking at him, just squawk, squawk, squawk. He wanted him gone out of that room. But now that he's gotten used to it, Tuna's more active. He's flying more. He's coming to see me more. He's like, oh, well, if you're holding him, can I get close to you too? Like, it's really funny. Let's see. Yeah, Clark Viner, I definitely prefer the parakeet chatter versus the conure. Yeah, I get that. All right, by MB, this is too funny. Just like the French fries that fall out of the car that you can never get to, right? That is exactly what it felt like. Oops, that just jumped. I think we're good. Let's see. Will you clip his wings? They're technically clipped, but with a parrotlet, they don't weigh any. Like, it doesn't feel like there's anything sitting on my hand besides the little pokey nails. You will also, parrotlets, you don't have to clip their nails. They bite, they keep their own nails clipped by biting them. So, bonus there. But clipping their wings, his are only clipped enough that it slows him down a little. He can obviously still fly. And then from here on out, by the time his feathers grow out, he'll be used to me. He can have full flight. Let's see. How long do parrotlets live? They can live, I've read a few different things, 15 to 25 years is pretty average. So it's a long commitment. I'm hoping for, I think I read one said 30 years. So I don't know how common that is. That's probably more rare. But I'd guess 20, 25 years. So very similar to a cockatiel. So you should be with us a long time. Which is one of my favorite things about parrots, because you get to keep them a long time. Dogs need to live longer. Let's see. You look like me chasing my son when he was a toddler. That's kind of what it feels like. I'd have to, ZK said, I'd have to cover my whole house. Well, so normally he's in my office. Once he gets to where he's used to me and I can walk around the house and he'll stay on my shoulder, then it's just, I have to protect myself. Like, I'll just wear a shirt that I can toss in the washer after. But what do you see? Yeah, around the rest of the house, he will not have full flight, or not like freedom to fly. It's in my office, so that's easier for me to protect. He won't be in here often because normally I'm painting in here. Peppernilla said, I took one drawing class in college in my 30s, the oldest student. The other students encouraged me to enter my drawing in the state contest of junior colleges, but my teacher said, you want to enter that? I got scared. I got second place overall. I tend not to listen to negative and insecure comments anymore. Getting old actually helps in that regard. It really does, because when you're younger, that is a lot harder. I had an art teacher. I know I'm late. Everyone's like, go to sleep, Lisa. Wrap this up. I had an art teacher in high school I took for my freshman year, and she was horrible. But I went to her my junior year, and I wanted to enter because people had said my art was so good and how I should enter, because that's when I started taking it seriously. She's like, you should enter the state fair. So I contacted her, and I was like, how would I do that? Because they said to contact your high school teacher. She told me it was almost impossible to get into and walked her, don't finish that sentence, off. Yeah, she was a horrible woman who should never be around children. But yeah, I know what you mean. And so I'm like, okay, I guess that's it for me. Let's see. What about cooking pots? Do you use special pots? That's a very good question. Yes. No. So we have nonstick pots, but if we use them, the birds are on the other end of the house. Everything has to stay closed, but that's so inconvenient. We've replaced everything with cast iron or stainless steel. Stainless steel, is that what it is? So we avoid anything with the nonstick whenever possible. I've replaced everything, mainly the other birds. The bird room is so far away from the kitchen and that door's closed, so I'm not worried about it. But with Tuna, with my office, like, it's down a hall still, but canaries are so sensitive, so sensitive to the Teflon pans and stuff, like more so than the other birds. It's bad for them all, but a canary, you can take them out in an instant, like it's bad. So we've had to be careful. So yeah, mainly I use cast iron or one for the little skillety, not skillet, saucepans. Those are this, I guess, stainless steel, whatever they are. That's a very good point. Yeah, you have to be so careful with any scents. Like I wouldn't put Scentsy in the room. I wouldn't have a candle in the room or anything scented in the room with the birds. I don't use cleaners with the birds. We use hot water. Matt has some kind of bird cleaner that's supposed to be safe for them. I don't like any of that. I just use hot water myself. Like, yeah, the scents, when I'm painting, like this was safe because I'm not using any chemicals, but painting, yeah, beep. He will not be in the studio when I'm painting. Even acrylics. I don't trust even acrylics. They're non-toxic, but they still send off fumes that I don't want birds around. When it's wet, when it's dry, it's fine. But yeah, you have to watch all that stuff. And congratulations to whoever won the Hummingbird. I haven't looked to see who it was. Flying and said, okay, I'm out, not vacuuming it every day. I mean, it depends on how much the seed bothers you. Matt does not vacuum every day. There's just seed all over the bird room. For me, I don't like that. I want to vacuum it. However, he's not going to have millet his whole life. He'll have seed, but you can put a thing to block so the seed's not all over the place. Like with tuna, the only real mess, I vacuum and mop the floors once a week. The only mess he makes is getting the veggies end up all over my blinds. I wipe them down once a week to clean any veggies he's gotten on there off. But you can put seed guards around the bottom where their seed and stuff is, and that will minimize the mess to where you could get away with it. And especially if you're feeding more pellets and more veggies and stuff where the seed is not as much with the seed. Millet is something they don't need their whole life. They shouldn't have it their whole life. And millet's like the messiest thing. So he just gets it right now. He'll get it for a couple months, a month or two, just as he's getting used to his other diet. I just want to make sure he keeps his weight up. Yeah, beep. We don't want you getting skinny. Okay, I think we are good. Yeah, cockatiels are super dusty. Oh, chicken makes a lot of dust. Okay, thank you guys so much. Oh, he's ready for bedtime, huh? He's all, can you see how poofy he is? This is the little poof ball. When they're tired, they just get all poofed up. You're ready for sleeping. Oh, you're gonna fix your feathers? Gotta be pretty. Okay, oh, how are parrotlets as far as the dander and bird dust? Not much at all. I mean, they're small, so they don't produce much, but it's nothing, like they don't have a natural, like super dust like a cockatiel would have. All birds are gonna have some dander, especially as their quills, like when they molt and they break that up, that kind of turns into a powdery dust, but it's not a lot. It's not like a cockatiel. It would be more like a conure, but even less because they're this big, because you're like a hummingbird, huh? Okay, thank you guys so much. Check out our moderators' channels. They've all got great channels. Links are in the video description. We've got live streams from Clark Fine Art and Joseph Fincham every single week. Fun chats. Definitely check that out. So you can still chat while watching them do cool art. And let's see, I know Clark Fine Art does a lot of product reviews too, which is really cool. So check them out. Nick Edgar had a few months ago, he did a digital painting. You definitely want to check that out on his iPad. And I think that is it. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining. Yeah, with you, huh? You're very cute. And we will see you guys next week. I don't know what we're doing next week, but I'll see you then. Bye.